question and doubts that you all have. It was that you're all thinking about the future, which is normal at the stage of your career. But a lot of your questions were not so much about sometimes what to do next. It was how to select the path or how to choose the path, how to be certain about what I want to do and have no regrets about the path I'm going to choose. And some of the questions were also about be sure to get what I want and how to negotiate in some way the path I want, especially a question about salary. So I'm going to try to gather all those questions along those themes and give you key actionable points like that you can work on it. Before we start, at the end, what I wanted to tell you guys, it come up to those three key messages. The first one is to embrace uncertainty. And when I say that, is as you all know, in the current state of the economy and even the job market in general, it's really hard to know what's gonna happen. It's really hard to have a clear path in terms of career. Okay, if I'm doing my internship here, I'm gonna have this job that's gonna lead me to this. That's part of the past. So all of you who want certainty, and we're gonna talk about it, of course, my advice for you is to embrace it, not to try to run from it or at least to be scared about it. It's really to embrace it. I'm sorry if one of you can close their mic. I think it's Aurelia. Up. Perfect. Thank you. So really use uncertainty as a strength, not as something to be doubtful for. And we're going to come back to it. The other thing, it's something I talked to you guys last time we saw. It was acquire a growth mindset. And you will see, because in a lot of the question I had, the main idea or the main feeling behind it was uncertainty, fear, and in a way the impossibility, or at least not knowing how to leverage the experience you have now, or all the experience you have, or at least being afraid in the future, not being able to leverage what you have done. And we will see how the growth mindset will help you with that, and we will go back to that. And the last point is think as like a freelance. We talk about that also in class, and it's even more true in the current economical state landscape, at least, is that idea that you need to always know what is the value you're going to bring to a company. You need to understand the relationship between a company and you, and not think as an employee, but really think as a freelance. And we will see exactly in some examples how to do that. The next, so this is kind of the, let's say, the first topic, or at least themes that I extract from all your questions. And at the end of the day, it's how to think about your next move. So all of your questions who were gathered about how choosing my next role, I'm afraid to get stuck, missing out on an opportunity, closing some doors if I go this way or this way, come in that category. The questions also about should I stay in my current company? Should I stay in this scope or in this position? I'm also gonna talk about that. Switch industries, and there is a bunch of questions also about being in more creative jobs and wanting to go into business jobs and vice versa, and questions about big companies versus small companies. And the last that was really interesting as well, it's about finding purpose, working for a cause, or at least how to know I'm going to be in the right environment. So those are questions that, in my opinion, are about how to think about it. So if I go in order, what we talked about last year when in the class was about your professional project. And at the end, choosing your next role, it's always it's starting again the process at the light of your new experiences at least. So when you think about your next role, you need to think about what do you want to do. You need to think about the values you have and the skills you want to acquire. So a lot of it has to do about it's not so much the job or the title, and I'm going to talk about that a lot. It's more or less about the skills that you want to acquire and what is the progression that you want. So that's one of the things. Be clear about what you want to learn, and then open your mind about the different job titles that can bring you those skills. Sometimes it's not a straight line, and that's what I want to say. The second thing about choosing your next role, it's also about sometimes we don't choose. You don't have the possibility to choose. Sometimes it's the market that offers you few things that it's available, especially if you want to work in big companies. That there is not availabilities. So that's why when I want to say, it's again, be creative on the skills you want to acquire, not so much on the job title. For example, some of you ask me, okay, I am in beauty, I want to go to fashion or leather goods. Why do you want beauty? Why do you want leather goods? What skills do you want in the leather goods? Do you want to be a product manager? Do you want a retail manager? Do you want to work in wholesale? Vice versa, if you want to work in beauty. What are the skills behind beauty? Go a little bit deeper in the way of thinking, beyond the scope, beyond the job titles, and try to see okay, maybe there is big companies that can have those jobs. Maybe I don't have all the skills, but maybe there is other position that can bring me closer. It's sometimes when I is what I say. It's like have almost like a chess mindset. It's like sometimes it's not one move that you have to do. Is you have to think 2 or 3 moves ahead. So when you think about your next role, think really about in a creative way and what skills that you want. And we will see later how to continue to think about that. Regarding getting stuck, missing out, and closing doors, it's one of the key message I have for tonight. It's a hard truth. Is the fact that you guys are growing up, and any choice you make, it's true, it might close some doors. But at the same time, if you close one door, you don't know what all the other doors that you guys are going to open all along the way. And that's the thing that you don't see at the stage, but we see with a little bit more experience. For example, when I left the IFM, I did my internship at Dior Men in the leather goods as a chef de produit. I couldn't find a position after. I couldn't stay at Dior, so I had to become a salesperson because I needed, to live and have some money. And from there, somebody told me, I know you like a chef de produit. There is a position that I'm leaving because I'm leaving this company that I think could be interesting for you. And it was in something totally different because it was in embroidery for the high fashion, but for architectural purposes. So that's the thing, I wanted the skills to be in a studio, I wanted the skills to be near to the, let's say, creation. And I was like, okay, let's do the interview at least to see how it is. From there, I got new skills, and 1 year later, I was able to move from there. And all along my career, it was like that. I was never able to see exactly what would be the next move. I was always interested in the skills I'm going to acquire. And for example, in my last position at the Bon Marché, all the skills I got from the architectural part, the way to presenting, the way to think about the space, the way to craft an experience, that made the difference during my interview, because I had an insight, a way of thinking that was different from other candidates. So, again, just to finish on my experience, I had the opportunity between jobs to go to showrooms, to work as a salesperson in showrooms. From there, I get key insights about the buyers and the department store and how they bought. So when I was doing, after a few months later, my interview with the Bon Marché, the same thing. I had key insights about them. So you see, you never know what doors will open in front of you. You never know which skill is going to be interesting for you and going to make you stand out during an interview. So don't think too much at this period of time of the door you are closing. Think way more about the doors you are opening, and you will see that's the growth mindset I'm talking about. It's like stay open to the opportunities. It's obvious some doors gonna be closed along the way. It doesn't mean they're not gonna reopen all along your journey. So it's a question of mindset, and I know it's really hard at this stage. Regarding about staying in the company, the position, the scope, again, it's linked to your project. I would not get too stuck on that. What I say about staying in the company, it is really interesting just to continue to have more experience in one place, even for your resume, at least 1 year, it's interesting. Maybe to have more experience, maybe some managerial experience, or at least more responsibilities. In terms of position, again, if you're able to stay in the same company in another position, same thing, you have a bigger view. So stay open to those opportunities, even they're not perfect. And sometimes some of you don't know if they want to stay where they are. They don't know if they want to stay in the same position. So again, I emphasize that. Think about what you want to learn and stay open, and think about what are the values and the knowledge that you have acquired in your current internship that could be valuable for the next position, or at least when you go to an interview. Even if you don't want the job, make sure that you understand what is the value you're bringing, and even if the job it doesn't work out, you are able to make a new connection. You are able to maybe give insight to the person in front of you regarding the skills that you're going to bring, and that maybe open new doors. For example, when I went to the Bon Marché, I was applying for one job at chef de produit for Maison, for more lifestyle, and we start shifting about the menswear. And from there, because I had a lot of insight about menswear, I start talking about it and talking about the shop floor. And she had the idea to say, have you heard about this position that we have, menswear fashion editor? And I didn't know about it. So you see, if you are really clear about the value you bring, sometimes it could open new doors, even positions that you didn't know about, or positions that just are open and they are not even yet available. So think about value. Regarding switching industries and scope, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, be sure to understand why you want to switch. If it's just by curiosity or just by wanting to missing out or afraid to be missing out something, my question for you is why do you want to go? And are you sure you are done learning about your industry or the position where you are now today? Because sometimes 6 months is one thing, but 1 year could be a little bit better, just to give you a little bit more buffer time to change if you want, or to look for another position. Sometimes think about it in terms of time as well. I have 3 months to find a job, but if I stay in this company, or at least in this scope, I can buy myself 6 months, 1 year, and during those 6 months, 1 year, I'm able to continue. Little parenthesis here, everything I'm telling you now, it's also the one of the key message for me. It's everything you're going to do now to look for job position. It's something that you're going to continue to do for the next 5 years. You're never going to be able to kind of stop and chill for a little while, because the market going to force you, even yourself, you're going to want to learn new things. You're going to be able to change. So keep that in mind. Think about project between 1 year, 18 months, 2 years, and after that, stay alert on what's happening. Stay alert on what do you want, and keep looking for maybe other position, at least for the next 5 years before maybe settling down. It's just a point of view, right? Some of you may be going to stay for one position, and if it's great for you, great. But for the others, don't be afraid to continue that way of thinking. Creative jobs versus business ones. Again, it's do you want to go to business or creative jobs because you are curious, or because you really know that's for you? You're able to do the switch. The only thing is be sure that about the value you're going to bring. So what creative assets or at least skills that you have, what business ones that you have, and if you don't have yet, maybe continue in your current way of of work and build them on the side. If it's in a creative job, build a portfolio, learn new skills, and if it's the business one, the same way, maybe work freelance or work on a business project, at least to have something to show. Especially in big companies, when they put you more in boxes, the analytical person, the creative person, and they don't like too much to switch. So if you really want to switch, maybe look outside of big companies and go to a smaller companies that are more let's say aware, or at least open to have hybrid let's say candidates or people, and they will be easier. And the same thing between big or small companies. There is no better way to go to a small or to a big one. The only thing is, like in big ones, you're going to learn, as I said, in big companies, like structure. You're going to learn about collection in a big way, in a big scale, a lot of different type of position. But you are one part of the let's say the chain. In small ones, you're going to have a bigger scope, maybe more responsibilities, maybe in some way more freedom and more autonomy, but you're going to have probably a smaller salary. It's not always true, but at least at the beginning. In big companies, a little bit more salary. So it's just like there is no better way. You can switch from one to the other, especially like if in a small company you are in a niche, and those skills could be interesting for a big company. Maybe in the small one you're able to have more managerial experience, because the team is growing faster, you have more responsibility. So you see, just to again think about what you're going to learn in those different environments, and how you're going to be able to leverage that all along your journey. Last point, finding purpose, the cause, and the environment. Those are questions that you're always going to ask yourself, and the same way, it's going to be hard to find exactly the purpose and the cause, the perfect cause, right away when you start your first job. It's something to keep in mind. Sometimes you can find that the cause or the purpose outside of your job, if you don't find it on your job. So maybe associations, or maybe inside the company on side projects, and things like that. And that's something I want to highlight. Is like, don't put too much pressure in this first job to have everything that you want. Be really clear about what you are looking for in this first job. If it's salary, if it's status, it's experience, it's an environment, if it's purpose. Don't put everything. It's going to be hard to find, like, the Prince Charming or the perfect job. Be really clear about what is the most important, but be reassured that along the way, you're going to be able to implement all those things that you like. That's why your career is going to be a journey. And it's okay that at the beginning you don't have everything figured out, as long as you keep thinking about that things that in a growth mindset, that you're not going to get stuck, and you keep an eye on the opportunities, keep an eye on how to leverage things to always be aligned with what you want. So I hope this first part you were able to figure out a little bit more about how to think about this moment. As I say, the three key message, it's embrace uncertainty. You're not going to have all the answers. It's true you might close some doors, but doesn't mean they're not going to reopen later. Acquire that growth mindset and look for those new opportunities all along the way, not only now, all along the way. And think like a freelance. It's really build that career portfolio that you're going to be able to reuse in different positions. Do you have any type of questions for this first part? I know it was one of the big ones for all of you in your questions. No questions for now. Perfect. So let's move on. So the next part I called it how to talk about your next move. So some of the questions were about like how to express what you really want to the manager, to the HR, to talk about what kind of position, salary, type of format that you wanted. And also it's all those questions about like how to get inside from your corporate network, how to build new contacts, and most of all, how to feel confident about your next move. So if I start by the end, feeling confident about the next move, it go back to what we just said. Embrace the uncertainty. It's okay that not everything is going to be perfect. Keep an open your eyes on the opportunities, and you will see in the next part, craft a storytelling, or at least craft a project that's going to be aligned with where you want to go, aligned with the skills that you are bringing, and you're going to feel confident about your project. And it's okay also to know that not everything you're not going to find everything from this next move. Maybe it's the move after that or the move after. But in the next 5 years, that's what's going to happen. You're going to build slowly and slowly all those experience, all those you're going to be in different environment, and you're going to be able to craft the journey that you want. So feel confident and positive about that. So if we go back to the first question about how to express what you want, my advice for you, it's have a project, know where you want to go, and more or less at midterm of your internship, so more or less, at 2 months and a half, 3 months, have a meeting with your manager and have a meeting with the human resources manager as well, both of them. And be really clear about what you want and where you want to go. And for that, look for the positions that are available today in the company. Have try to build a corporate network inside the company to understand what's happening in all the departments. So talk to the other interns, go have lunch with other manager. So don't be afraid to build your network. And we talked about that in the class. Ask a manager about like their professional journey, about like the scope. If you know that they move from one place to one place or from one company to another, tell them that you're interested to know about that. And you will see people will have lunch with you guys, no problem. And from there, you're able to talk about your project, you're able to talk about like where you want to go, if there are ideas, if there are insights. And that's the way people know about you, because you cannot wait until the end of your internship to say, hi, I'm here. And I said that because it happened to me in one of my first internships. At the end, we were 2 interns, and the other intern that was with me got the job, and I didn't. And my boss told me, she said, yeah, but she was always talking to other people. Everybody know her in the company. In terms of jobs, you guys were as good. But you were more focused on your job and not so much on building, a network. Because at the end of the day, it's just people working together. So you're always going to choose the person you feel good to work with, if they have the same, the same skills. So I'm sure all of you are really great at what you do. So go expand your network, talk about your project, and keep an ear open to what are the different positions, what's happening, what movements are happening in the company. Look at what jobs they are looking for now, and express that to your manager and express that to the human resource manager as well. One of the things is sometimes you're not going to get certainty about what's happening, you're not going to get certainty about what job's going to be open and how to get those jobs. But at least you know that they're going to be open. You know that you can talk about it several times during your meetings, and you understand what skills that you can bring to that position, just because you know that the position it's opening. So you keep thinking about like what value you can bring to that position. The same about like the salary. If you are and we talk about that in the next part, if you are in a position to have an offer from the company where you are with, negotiate your salary, tell the salary you want, and we will talk about it a little bit later. But express what you want, express the scope you want to go, and the format. For some of you ask me about like, today I'm doing 80% on this, 20% on that, but you want to change if you are higher, express that. But when you express it, express the value you're going to bring to the company. Don't express just it's convenient for me. So everything you talk has to be a project that's going to bring value to the company. So it's only you who's going to be able to craft that story, not the company. Company is going to go for what is the most obvious, and if it's an outside candidate, they're going to go for that. But if they see you as an interesting candidate, they're going to go for you. In the same way, if you want to go in another company outside of the company where you are, and you apply, you need to be able to express very well what is the value. And sometimes the value is not so much what you have done in the past. It could be your strategic mindset. It could be the fact that you did the IFM. Don't forget that on the market has value as well. It could be a lot of things. So only you can craft the story that's gonna bring value to the company, and be creative about it, and be confident and positive, because people are gonna react to that. Any question on that part before we continue to the last one? It is true and not true. It is true if you stay in the same company and you negotiate a really low salary, it's going to be a burden for a long time, because they're only going to add a little bit of percentage every time you renegotiate something. And every time they only allowed to increase a certain amount for all the employees, or at least for according to different teams, they only have let's say a limited budget. So it's true if you stay in the same company. If you move from companies to another company, that the sky is the limit. That's only you and your negotiation skills, and what skills you're going to bring, what value you're going to bring. And that's when you can do 10, 20, 30, 40% increase. So again, that's why we're going to talk about salary in the next slide. It is really important that from day one, you try to negotiate your salary. Because sometimes, and what I'm going to say is not something bad, especially women, they don't negotiate salaries like the same way like men. Men, they're gonna go for it more easily. When women, sometimes they're gonna be more shy about negotiating, and that's one of the reasons also we have that difference. So all of you, men, women, or whatever, please negotiate your salary anytime you can. Just even if you don't get it, it's okay. Just for the purpose, just for the exercise. Because the more you go up, the more you're gonna have to negotiate. But if you don't start from the beginning, you're not gonna learn the skills. Does it answer your question, Serafin? Perfect. So let's talk about how to negotiate your next move. So you will see there is a part about salary negotiation, so we're going to go back a little bit on that. One of the main question I had is, how I can be sure that I'm going to get a CDI after the internship, or how can I secure a CDI after the internship? The answer is you can't. There is no certainty that you're going to be able to stay. There is no certainty that you're going to be able to have a CDI. Some of you guys told me, okay, so the company offered me a position in freelance, but I want to be sure that they give me a CDI in the next 6 months. There is no certainty on that. That's why, advice number one, embrace that uncertainty. So how to get the CDI? It's just a question of luck at the end of the day. If you are in the same company and you are an intern and there is a position and you are the perfect fit, you have raised your hand, you have proof that you are the good person, you're going to be offered at least the position, or at least have the interview, but they're always going to look for also outside candidates. It's who have maybe more experience. So there is no guarantee that even you are the best intern, you're going to get a CDI. With that said, as I say, it's a question of luck. For example, in some experience I had with other interns, there is intern that left the company. 6 months later, there is a CDI that opened. We call them back because they were really good, even if we have a current intern at that specific moment, because we want that one that was really good. So that's why the CDI by itself, or at least any type of contract, it's a mix between being at the right moment, a question of luck, and be persistent, or at least express yourself that you are interested in staying in the company in the specific position. So there is no way to be sure that you're going to get a CDI. Regarding how to negotiate your next move, it's all about the questions that you guys ask me about. How can I make my resume, my pitch, or prepare for an interview now that I have that my last internship? Also question about like my profile. It's a little bit different. I'm more like an outsider. I haven't done all the jobs that they required, or at least where I want to go. I don't have all the experience. Questions about job hop, and we're going to talk about it. Salary, as I said, we're going to go back to that. And there is also questions guys ask me about career progression, evolution, and what I call revolution. And we will see about a little bit about that, and it's going to go back to the first part. And the last were questions about what skills or what should I pay attention if one day I want to become an entrepreneur, or if I'm going to become a freelancer. So I wanted to touch on that as well in this part. So on the CDI, as I said, is a question of luck, position. So you cannot have any certainty even if you are the best one. Regarding how to update your resume, your pitch, and prepare for your interview, we go back to the classes that we had last year. For the resume, the pitch, craft a professional project, have your 3 pillars, have the examples, the updated examples that illustrate those 3 pillars. So if in your current internship you have way more experience on a specific area or acquire new skills, have example of that. And again, craft all your storytelling as we talk about, not so much to tell what you have done, but to say what you're going to bring to the company. Again, have that, think like as a freelance, think about the skills that you're going to bring to the company, how you're going to help them, especially now that you guys are going to be professional, no interns. That's what we're going to look for you. We're going to look for operational skills that you're all going to have, but we're going to think about, we want something else. We want organizational, strategic, visions, like sometimes management skills. So craft all of that in a much more and stronger storytelling now that you have done your last internship. For the outsiders, and I know some of you, for example, have done a lot of commercial work and they want to go to more merchandising or maybe more creative jobs, that it's also something that, in my opinion, you need to be able to get to where you want to go. Sometimes you need 1 or 2 steps to build the skills that you want. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get to the big company if you never have done the job, but you might be able to go to a smaller one. You might be able to show the skills that you are lacking by taking some online classes at least, or create your own project or work with companies as a freelance or just for free, just to get some experience on that specific domain. For those of you who want to go maybe in a wholesale, retail, and don't have any type of experience, my advice, it's after the internship, if you haven't found a job, go work in showrooms and do several of them. You're gonna have January for the men, you're gonna have the women in February and March, and again in June. So you can have a lot of different experience in showrooms. That's gonna count because You're going to have to create assortments with the buyers. You're going to have to at least have some budget negotiations and things like that. At least it's few things that you're going to be able to add to in terms of analytical way of thinking, business, knowing how to talk about collection assortment and things like that. It's always something that you can have. Regarding the job hub, it's going to really depend on the companies, but I would say that today it's not so much a problem as long as your storytelling and what you're going to craft is going to be really good in terms of value, explaining that all those different jobs that you have done make you something, having at least a unique point of view, a unique experience, that it's perfect for the job. So don't think about it as something negative. Show that it's something positive, that it's an element that differentiates you from the other candidates. So in a way, embrace it. Don't hide it. But know that sometimes some people won't like it because they're going to be more about safety in terms of recruiting. But it's okay. That doesn't mean that you won't find the right company. Going back to the salary negotiation. So as I said, no matter where you are, if you are in the same company, if you are going to another company, always negotiate your salary. To do that, you have different ways of doing it. But basically, at the first interview, they're going to ask you what do you want. So have a number, a set number. Don't have I don't know how you say, a bracket. Have a set number that's what you want. And that number has to give you room to negotiate. So you have a set number of what you want, and you have the minimum that you're going to allow yourself to have. You start with that, and you let them. You're going to start the process. You're going to have 1, 2, 3 interviews until you have the offer. And at that moment, you're going to have room to negotiate a little bit. So that's one of the, I'd say at least the beginning, that's one of the things I will advise. On the second point I will advise, it's in case they don't ask you at the beginning and they give you an offer and you do all the interviews and they give you an offer and they say, okay, that's what we're going to pay you. You have to be able to say, I'm sorry, I was expecting this. And you let them, and you have to be able to walk away. Or at least they have to feel it. It's like really like poker. And you let them come back to you with a counter offer. So that's when the moment you need to be able to have strong nerves and be able like to hold yourself and be able to say no, especially to a big company, because they know that a lot of people go to have a counter offer. And why at that moment you are in position of strength, even you don't know it, is because finding the right candidate, it's a long job for the human resource manager, for your future manager. It's a long process. So when they find you and they give you the offer, you are the one they want. So they're probably gonna at least give you a little bit more. So that's why the first number you have said have to give you a little bit room to negotiate. Isabella, you have a question? It's a good question, and at the end it's about like the mindset that you're gonna have. At the end of the day, nobody gonna make you justify why you want the salary. That's the salary you want because you think you deserve that. And in a way, we have to remember that a contract is like you're gonna offer time and skills to the company, and they're gonna offer you money. If you think that's what you deserve, or at least that's what you want to work with them, that's what they have to pay. That's why at the end it's, are you willing to walk away if they don't pay you the salary you want? That's really up to you. And the main problem, and we all do that, the main problem at that moment of your career, it's like you need a job, so that people know about it. You want to work in a good or famous company, so they have leverage on you. But at the end, they want the best candidate. And one of the ways to see who are the best candidate it's also the one who feel that they are the best candidate. So you see, it's almost like by negotiating, by telling that, you prove to them that they are taking the right person, that you're not going to be somebody that going to say yes to everything, that you're going to fight for your point of view in the company, that you're going to push for what you believe it's important. Those are the kind of people they need in a company. So you see, just by showing that, you're telling them that you are the right candidate and that you deserve that. Does it help, Isabella? You're welcome. Any other question on that topic, salary negotiation? Okay, great questions. It's true. They always ask, okay, what is your current salary? Of course, you guys are intern, so it's not really relevant. But let's say you are in your first job and you're going to your second job. In a way, you always have to give a bigger salary. And my advice would say give at least 10, 50, 20% more than you already have. The other thing is to also think about, like, because in different companies, you're going to have a global package and a fixed amount that you're going to receive every month. What is really important for you guys to remember is the global package. So always give the global package and make it a little bit bigger when you answer that question. And the other question, it's really hard to answer because according, if you are in a big company, if you are in beauty, if you are accessories or fashion, you're going to have something different. What I can say, and it's going to be a big bracket, I would say for a starting salary, my advice will be to be in a fix, which in France is like what you're going to get every month, not the global package. Try to not go below 35 or 45. Try, it's a big one. Try to range according to that. So for those of you who only have 6 months, go to the smaller side. For those of you who have maybe 2 or 3 years, go at least to 45. And then you're going to have the bigger package with the intéressement, the things that the company get you when they have a good result. And like that, you have room to negotiate. But I would say like at least a fix, 35, 45 according to years. It's a good range. And after that, don't forget that you can stay 1 year and a half, 2 years in a company and try to go have 20, 30% in another company if you have the skills, if you feel confident, and nothing stops you to negotiate that while you're still in a position, so you don't lose anything. Does it help, Tian? Perfect. And it's your full salary. So in French, you have the salaire fixe, which is what you're going to get every month. And then you have the package. It's the salaire fixe, more if you have bonuses, if you have 13e mois, if you have intéressement et participation, which is what the company, when they give you a percentage of what the revenues. So when they're going to offer you, in a big company, they're going to offer you a full package. And what they're going to try to do is like say, we give you a small fix because you're going to have a bigger package because of all the bonuses. But at the end of the day, those bonuses, they're variable. What you are interested in is what you receive every month. So that's the part that you need to be really aware of. So when they're going to give you the offer, be sure to have the detail of what it is. And you, in your head, you need to have like the full package in mind to be able like to say, okay, it works, doesn't work, and things like that. Does it make sense? Perfect. Just because we are a little bit just in time, regarding career progression, evolution, and revolution, it's more or less what I was saying earlier, which is about like think about your career. Sometimes you can work in progression, so chef de produit, chef de groupe, and things like that. Evolution could be changing scopes, changing industries, and things like that. And sometimes revolution, it's also like don't hesitate to change the format for a while, you know, become a little bit of freelance, work part-time here, go to showrooms. Don't be afraid to add new skills sometimes and to change totally. And don't be afraid, because after that you're going to be able to open new doors. People are going to see your profile in another way. So don't be scared that, or at least don't stay always in a progression way, because you will see after 10 years that's going to become a problematic, because other people who have a bunch of experience, they're gonna be able like to sell themselves better, and because they're gonna have that mindset. And regarding becoming entrepreneur or freelance, I will say the most important, it's again, it's to understand, if you're going to be a freelance and you're going to work for companies, it's really to understand what you're going to bring to the company. So understand how a company works, understand who are the people who you're going to work for, how to convince during meetings. So be really good at convincing about your ideas. An entrepreneur, I would say, become an intrapreneur first, which is try to have projects that you're going to do inside the company that nobody else does. Be the first one to raise the hand when there is new stuff to do. You know, become that entrepreneurial mindset. Even if you fail, even if it's not perfect, it's okay, because that's what it is to become an entrepreneur. So at the end, use the company to build the skills that you're going to need, and research a little bit more according to the type of freelance you want to be. What are the projects when you can have inside the company that going to be like transferable to your project and be useful as when you're going to offer your services. And before we go, so the last thing I wanted to say, and you will have the presentation, so don't worry. The key points here are the three main that we talk: embrace uncertainty, acquire growth mindset, and think like a freelance. But also that remember that you are in charge of your career, not the company. Don't look for certainty and look for growth and experience. Finding the next position, it's really a mix between luck, persistence, and being bold. Don't be afraid. Always focus on the value you're going to bring, and not so much on what you have done in the past or the lack of experience that you have. Think like really in a positive way and in terms of value. Start acting like a professional and not like a student, and that's the point regarding negotiation, regarding like speaking out about what you want, where you want to go. Like see them as peers, not as students and professionals. You are a professional now, so act like it, and they're going to react to that. And build a career portfolio, not just a linear career, just the point that we talk about. Because today we need to have a lot of different experience, because we don't know where the world is going. So you don't know what are the skills that are going to be useful. And the last point, I'm going to go because we have 1 minute left. It's so you will have the presentation. It's the surprise I have for all of you who are here. Is like I'm going to send you an email to have a 30-45 minute one-on-one coaching, and where we're going to be able to talk about every point that you ask me personally, and we're going to be able like to craft really a strategy for you for the next coming months. So I'm going to send you the video, the presentation, and then we're going to figure out a date like that we can have that one-on-one for all of you who were here present and answer the survey. Do you have any questions before we wrap up? If Google let us have the time. Perfect. So if you don't have any questions, thank you for all of you for your time. It was great to see you, and I hope it was useful. I will send you a little survey, of course, to have your feedback and see what can I improve. And we stay in touch, as I said, to have a one-on-one meeting. Have a great night.